I want to take a few minutes. 11 of you have turned in this assignment. If you have not turned in this assignment, please do that this weekend because I am very interested in what your thoughts were on what Brian Coley said the other day. So I have given you this. I will talk a little bit more about that when we get to this slideshow. But let's just take like 5 minutes to talk about what he was saying. So the questions I wanted you to answer: what was Brian Coley's main point? Thoughts? Agree? Disagree? How does this relate to our course-long essential question? And again, I always want you to have that essential question in the back of your mind, just to remind you this is what it is. Movies can and do have a tremendous influence in shaping young lives in the realm of entertainment towards the ideals and objectives of normal adulthood. Like one example even of this, I would say, I remember when my wife and I first got married. There you go. I forgot to bring something home one day. She wanted me to pick up something from a store, and I forgot to do it, and so that hurt her feelings, and we got this whole conversation. And one thing she said to me that was very interesting was, honey, growing up, when I watched the movies, the guy, like the guys in the movies that were the best of the girls, like they just knew their every thought and move. Like they could anticipate what the girl's needs were without even the girl telling him, what to do. And it meant that he was so sensitive and in tune with her feelings. And I was like, but I can't read minds. And so it was just kind of interesting because although she didn't believe that really, she was admitting that the movies kind of shaped her perceptions of what adult relationships should be like, right? And you guys get inundated with that every day from all sorts of different angles. Not only the movies, but even just advertising and that sort of thing. So that's just a small example, I think, of what this could be referring to. So let's talk a little bit about, we don't need to watch the video. What were some of the things you wrote in response to this question? It's very quiet. I can look up the speed grader here real fast and see who submitted, and I can call on you. Should I do that? Oh, shoot, yes. Peter Rack, what were some things that you said? Good morning, Courtney.
Okay, I said Coley's main point was that we need to get more like Christian people in Hollywood so we can have Christians more accurately portrayed in films and not just like...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so
real, like either like way glorified or like way stereotypical.
Right. So that whole concept of the truth, right? Remember the Jewish producer who was like, I'd put Christians on screen just as long as they didn't have to be portrayed as better as everybody else. I thought that was an interesting quote. Good. What else? But you're right. I do think that was one of his main points. There were some others as well. Good morning.
Want me to pass, do I?
Nope. Here you go. What were some other things that he said? Yes.
Well, I took a broader perspective and I said his main point was that movies have extreme impact on the way we view culture in our lives.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Can you expand on that a little bit? Please expand because I'm getting chills right now. So, and I got chills with yours as well. But
well, when I wrote this, I kind of took like a historical perspective, like how Jesus told parables, he told stories, and taught lessons, and so human beings like to hear stories, and that's how they learn. So movies are essentially a story. That's why people love movies. And so on the screen, they learn from that, and they think like, oh, that's acceptable, and what's not acceptable.
Yes. Absolutely, which of course completely ties in, I think, to the course-long essential question, right? In terms of what you perceive on screen is what you kind of, your worldview starts to be shaped a little bit in terms of what is acceptable as you grow up and as you live out your life. Have any of you seen excerpts from the movie A Birth of a Nation? The Birth of a Nation. Some of you in history classes might have seen it. It came out like in Wilson was elected in 1912, maybe like 1914-ish it came out. And it actually, it was on AFI's Top 100 for a bit. And basically this movie is all about the South, the Civil War, Reconstruction. Okay, D.W. Griffith was the one who directed it. And if you were to watch it, you would be, I hope, amazingly offended by it. I'll just put it to you this way. At the end of the movie, the KKK comes to the rescue. Like, they are completely glorified. It is, when you watch it, you almost start laughing. In fact, sometimes I do, just out of, like, embarrassment, and, like, it's just incredible. Because literally, like, this victorious music, and these guys in bed sheets are, you know, riding horses, galloping into town to rescue this family from big, bad, you know, African-American soldiers who have been raping and pillaging the town. I mean, it's crazy. And Woodrow Wilson said, "My only regret about this is that this film is just all too true." That was our president of the United States. In fact, the film kind of uses some of Wilson's writings as a source in the film. So, my whole point being, imagine, and this is where I'm coming back to what you were saying, imagine if you live in a town that's all white, which of course is completely, you know, possible, right? Society was very segregated during that time, still is to some degree today. And you go to see this movie, which is a brand new technology, it's amazing, it blows your mind, and your only experience, okay, of interacting with African Americans is that movie, it is going to shape your perception of them, whether you like it or not, right? Like, if that is your only exposure. To some people might think, okay, this is ridiculous, okay, but it certainly, if that is your only experience, it really can shape your view on a different culture. So, I think he was saying that obviously with African Americans, with homosexuals, talking about how Christians could have even a greater impact through the movie arts. Okay, and so there was a couple of things I wanted you to pull from that, and those are really the big two, I would say. So good job. Any questions on that? Okay. If again, if you haven't completed the assignment yet, it is up on Academy Central. The video is up there as well if you need to watch it. Remember, it's only like 8-9 minutes, and then you can finish that. Please don't let that go too long, because otherwise work will start to pile up for you. Okay, let's... Oh, no, not work. Yeah, there's work in here. You have to do some work in here. I know that's tragic, but... Okay, I have given you this sheet, and 2 days ago, I said to you, one of the things I want you to improve on in this class is your analytical skills. Like, I want you to be able to analyze. Tell me why, basically. Why you like something, why you don't. I also said to you that I wanted to give you a toolbox to be able to do that effectively. For me, just be like, here, analyze, and not give you any sort of toolbox to work with that. I think would be unfair. So this is the start of that. I have given you this to jot down anything you would like, all right? And I would encourage you to hold on to this, okay? Because the things that we talk about during the slide presentation, when you go to analyze a scene or movie later, you will want to pull this back out and perhaps refer to it. Because I'm going to ask you to use those tools in your analysis. Does that make sense? Okay, so I would have this out over the next couple of days. We're going to work on analyzing movies today, Monday, and then into Tuesday a little bit, and then we're actually going to get into our first movie, The Gold Rush. So, anyways, now with that said, what I'd like you to do right now is, let's see, let's get into groups of 3 to 4, and I want you to separate out so I see distinct groups. Go. This should be fast. You're on wheels. It's exciting. Okay? Good. We got 4. Distance yourself. Distance yourself. Okay? Excellent. All right. We got, okay, so I want, yeah, that's fine. This activity. I'll actually go on 4. That's fun. All right.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah, do you?
Like, here, let me help improve this one.
Okay, that's good. Now, these slides, I'm going to go over a little bit of history of American film, and then we're going to get into some technique. So I like to combine the two things. Just to get your brains moving, all right, I'm going to show you a preview of a movie that we're going to watch later, True Grit. All right, and in your groups, I just want you to watch it, and I want you to analyze it a little bit. Okay, now, this may seem hypocritical. I'm not giving you the quote-unquote tools yet. Okay, but I just want to kind of get your minds going a little bit on this snowy Friday. Like, just analyze it as best as you can. Okay, you don't need to use any technical terms. If you do, that's great. Otherwise, that's okay. Think about the lighting, the camera angles, the music, just everything. Okay, there is no bad analysis here. All right, so let me go ahead and, No bad analysis here. There will be in the future, but not now. Okay, here we go. Why did it go? Here we go.
Mr. Cockburn, in your 4 years as U.S. Marshal, how many men have you shot?
Shot or killed?
Let us restrict it to killed so that we may have a manageable figure.
Mr. Cockburn?
What do you want, girl?
I'm looking for the man who killed my father. The man's name is Tom Cheney, and I need somebody to go after him.
What's your name?
My name is Mattie Ross. Are you some kind of law?
I'm a Texas Ranger. I know Cheney. It is at least a two-man job taking him alive.
Marshal Cockburn? Can we depart this afternoon?
We.
I'm going with you.
Congratulations, you've graduated from marauder to wet nurse.
He's being followed.
What do we do, Marshal?
You missed your shot, Cockburn.
Just let this go.
I thought you were going to say the sun was in your eyes. That is to say, your eye.
You got a lot of experience with bounty hunters, do you?
That is a silly question. I am 14.
You can run on for a long time.
Time for you to go home.
I don't like you. I will not go back, not without Cheney, dead or alive.
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Cheney's here! Help me, Marshal!
Now what, Cockburn?
Them boys don't think about the wrath that's about to set down on him. Cheney and his gang a rough lot.
I do not regret shooting your father.
I will kill this girl!
Biggest mistake you ever made.
Tell 'em that God's gonna cut you down.
All right, help me.
I can do nothing for you, son.
Okay. With that, in your group, just brainstorm a little bit. What were some things that you really liked about that preview? What were some techniques used to drive home certain feelings or concepts or whatever? Just take a couple of minutes. Go. Okay, let's talk. Okay. Group over here. We'll call you Cockburn Group because that's the name of the end. No, I don't know. What did you guys say? What were some things you said? I'm going to write them up here on the board or on the screen. Don't be afraid.
We said like it's suspenseful, like we showed the beginning of things, not the end.
Okay, so, all right, good. It was definitely suspenseful. Okay, and what made it suspenseful? What were some things that they did that made it suspenseful? Did you? Go ahead.
Like it would show some scenes and then stack like screen and show again and you would pause it.
Oh, so kind of how it was cut, like how it was kind of cut. Okay, good. So really, what you're referring to there is how it was edited. There are different categories of analysis, okay? And editing is one of them. Directing is another. They're basically, we'll focus on 4 to 5. So how it was edited was kind of like this. Wait, what was that? Like you wanted to see a little bit more, so it made it more suspenseful. Very good. Let's go to this group. What did you guys have?
Oh, okay. You said the lighting.
Yes, lighting is huge in this film. And I heard you say you've seen it before, so don't say too much to spoil it. But go ahead.
Like they had a clip of like a darker lighting scene, then a lighter
Yep.
lighted scene. So I mean, see the movie, it kind of relates to that. It kind of like foreshadowing.
Okay, good. All right, dark versus light. All right, well, and that's true. And so sometimes you can use that to symbolize what, do you think? Dark would represent maybe evil. Light would maybe represent good. Good. Okay, or maybe you're the character's in a dark time. There's a lot of tension there. It certainly adds to the mood of the scene. Okay, can add to the suspense of the scene as well. Okay, good. What else? Let's go to this group.
You said it like through like the scenes they picked the Jeff Bridges look like really tough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you want to be him, basically. Well, at least I do. To some degree. Okay, so let's say toughness. Okay, so what made him, like, what did they do to make him tough?
Like they picked certain lines from like the court scene.
Okay, so the writing, yeah, okay. So this is another technique of film. So you guys know more than you realize, right? The screenwriting in this film, I can't wait to show you this film because for some people, the dialect that they use or the diction that they use, and hence the screenwriting, drives some people crazy. Other people, like me, really love it because there's a lot of depth and meaning behind how it's written. So the screenwriting, the line about wrath, I can't do nothing for you, son, and shoot some. There's definitely these elements of like this kind of callous, tough sort of character. Good. So I'm trying to write screenwriting with the back it up, rewind. Okay, so
that app looks like everybody's handwriting is super fancy.
I know, it's nice because my handwriting is not fancy. So screenwriting is big. I will want you to analyze that when we go through stuff. Last group, what did you guys have?
The music was like
I love the music, right? I downloaded it. I seriously saw this trailer and I downloaded it. Okay, and so the music was good. Who was the artist? Any idea? Johnny Cash. Although when you download it doesn't say Johnny Cash. All right. So Cash, which equals Cash Money. So it's automatically going to be a good song. Now, but what made it, like, what was good about it or bad about it? You don't have to like it. Go ahead. Well, like, talk to me about that.
It seemed like pretty intense and like it drove the plot, like how she wanted revenge. But
how did it do that though? You're right.
Like just like the sound of it.
Okay, the sound that's like heavy. Combine that with the images of riding horses, racing after people, etc. The heaviness of it and the intensity of it, yet combined with that revenge theme, made it more impactful as well. It's interesting too because you can have, I've seen scenes where it's like a completely violent scene. It's like this classical music, like where it's almost, and it makes it even more intense. What about the lyrics? Did you catch any of the lines from that song? Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
Like sooner or later
he's going to cut you down. Right, exactly. Who? God. Okay, so heavy, right? Now we've got religious, faith elements involved in this. So even just in the preview, you guys have done a good job of pulling out actually some major themes. Of course it ends with retribution, So, and of course we'll get into that whole worldview of revenge and, the wrath of God and, what does that really mean and how does that kind of impact our faith? Because I think that's a huge question to kind of dive into a little bit. Very good. Okay, now none of you talked about, oops, I don't want to mute that yet. None of you talked about camera angles, which is completely fine. I have not taught you about that at all, but when we, as we go through this a little bit, I will want you to revisit that a little because, and that's when we start getting into what's called cinematography a little bit, and like the different angles of the camera, long shot, medium shot, etc. That also impacts how you view a scene. Okay, so you guys talk about Marshall Cogburn being kind of tough and imposing. There are a lot of low angle shots of him, right, where it's like it's if you're looking up at him and he looks huge, intimidating, etc. So we'll get into that a little bit as I knock my glasses off my face. So little film history here. All right, you could argue that this was the first movie. Okay, in 1872 there was a commission given to a photographer whose name I forget because it's kind of weird, Edward Muybridge, something like that. You don't have to remember that. But basically, they wanted to figure out if a horse, when it galloped, all four hooves left the ground at the same time. So they put these pictures together, all these different frames, okay, and basically he set up 16 still cameras. And as the horse ran and hit a tripwire, the camera would take a shot. And then he put this all together to create this this film right here. So there, and they did realize that all four hooves left the ground at the same time. So you can see this is a fascinating movie that would keep you engaged for a very long period. Okay, maybe not. But what you're seeing here is, you know, again, one of the first movies in this concept of frames. Okay, and each movie is made up of individual frames. And when we go to the Arcada in a couple of weeks, they're going to show, hopefully they will still have it there, but they will show you some editing equipment where they literally would take film, okay, and they would put it on this cutter and the magnifier, and basically they go through thousands of frames, and they have to cut and edit and put the film back together. It's kind of crazy how intense it was. Editing today is much easier with computers than it was back during this time. And, so that kind of started this, this new technology of let's create, movies. And so this is the first movie that kind of became somewhat popular called The Great Train Robbery. And I want to watch this movie. It's 10 minutes long, okay, and I just want you to analyze it a little bit. Okay, so we're going to continue down this road of analysis. I also want you to think a little bit as well about how does this contrast with the preview of True Grit. These are two Westerns, right? True Grit and then The Great Train Robbery. All right, and then we will talk a little bit about it. So here we go. Pause right there for a second. So why did you just laugh? Right, so it was like, they were sitting there for a very long time. So the editing in that piece wasn't super suspenseful, right? Because it was just taking a very long time for this train to show up. All right, go. What were some other things you've seen so far about this? Yes? Okay, yeah, so just kind of like, it's just like, perhaps it's a set malfunction or something like that. Good, what else? Yeah, Kyle.
One camera angle.
Yes. Yep, it's one long shot. You're just, one reason why this is kind of boring, how many of you felt like this was boring? Okay, about half of you, all of you. Okay, good. All right, one reason why it's boring is because the camera doesn't move for a very long time. I mean, the story of itself is kind of suspenseful, right? It's like you've got these robbers coming in, they're beating this guy up, they're tying him up because they want to go rob the train. Okay, but when you have just one shot where it's not moving, okay, it tends to not be as intense. Okay, so now instead of you saying about a movie, well, it was just boring, you can say a little bit perhaps why. Maybe it's how a movie has been edited. What else? What's the impact of that long shot, do you think? Like, as far as like, maybe how you perceive the characters. Could you see their faces? No. No. So, how many of you saw Les Mis? Okay, some of you saw Les Mis. One of the unique things about that movie, right, was when they were singing, it typically was one shot on their face. Actually, not unlike this in the sense that it really was, the camera wasn't really moving a lot. Stuff wasn't really edited because they wanted to pick up the singing. Okay, however, because it was a close-up shot of their face, you could really see the emotion of the actor. And so therefore, I think that combined with the incredible music really made you feel for the characters. Okay, Russell Crowe might be the exception there, but, you know, and I respect him as an actor. But, you know, so that close-up piece, obviously, you feel distance from these characters, so you don't feel as much of an attachment. Like, you don't feel sorry for the train conductor station dude, because you probably don't even know what he looks like. So, anyway, good. Anything else from this analysis? Now, you have to remember, right? 1903, is this going to be exciting? Yeah, absolutely. You've never seen anything like this in your life. There's moving people on the screen, combined with music. Like this is pretty incredible. This would be like you picking up a smartphone for the first time and using it. Oh my gosh, what is this? This is when you listen to interviews of people about this who experienced for the first time, they were incredulous. And then when they added talking, oh my gosh, it half freaked them out. You know. So anyway, also, try to put yourself in their shoes a little bit here. Okay, good. Let's let it roll a little bit further. Of course, they have technological limitations during this time, right? They have big cameras that they're reeling around. It's not like they have little cameras they can do the over-the-shoulder shot or something like that. All right, so analyze a little bit. Peter, since you laughed out loud, why did you laugh out loud?
Because when he died, he stood up with his arms up.
So would you say that that's bad acting?
Yes.
How many of you would agree with that? Yeah, obviously this is going to be another element that we analyze in films is the acting. Okay, now, it's a silent film, right? If he hadn't thrown his arms up in the air, would you have known that he had been shot and killed? I'm assuming he's killed. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, like, so there's kind of like this over-exaggerated acting that especially becomes very popular during this time. And part of that is because you're not talking. You know, so you have to, you know, I think in some ways silent film actors are very impressive actors, particularly one like Charlie Chaplin, because they can't talk. They have to portray all sorts of things without doing that. Okay, now this is an over-exaggeration piece, but, you know, so through the first few films that we see, you're going to see more of that style of acting. Okay, which, again, I prefer method acting, today's, you know, the way that people act today, but at the same time, you can start to appreciate a little bit why they are acting the way that they're acting. Obviously, when we look at this, you know, what are some limitations that they have? Technology is a huge limitation, right? So what is really going to make a film good, especially during this time? Do you think? What, the music? Yes, certainly plays into that. Absolutely. And the music, it crescendoed as they came charging into the train car. Good. What else? The story, right? The story has to be pretty good to engage us. And I think when we look at some of these films, we will start to hopefully appreciate that piece of it. What else about this? Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Why is it not in total black and white?
My thought on that is that one of two things. Either the film has degraded over the years, and so it gets that piece of it, or wherever I got this from, they put some sort of filter over it. I think it's more of the former than the latter. Okay, we will pick up here on Monday. Please make sure you bring those sheets back.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Johnny Cash song. I mean, the big. I don't know.